The animated adaptation of Dragon's Dogma, a video game first released in 2013, was met with almost immediate backlash from most of the reviewer community. Immediately, I noticed something was off about these reviews, and none were more askew than the take given by Mother's Basement. After admitting to have never played the game, ol' MB proceeds to rip the anime apart for being unfaithful to the game's story, which tells me that all he did was skim the wiki to make each and every one of his molasses-ass points. Today, we take up arms in defense of the anime, and if you'd come at me, I suggest you do the same, for my kind do not heed the toothless. To begin, let's just get this out the way. Yes, I am fully offensively coming for Geoff and his absolutely arctic take upon this show. Normally I wouldn't say one has to see or play or however one would take in the source material to judge a work. Given, though, that MB makes it explicit he's judging Dragon's Dogma as an adaptation, even comparing it to Netflix's Castlevania, I'm going to dispense with that rule. He admits to having never played the game, so here's my question. Why review it as an adaptation, and why the fuck should anyone care about your opinion, Geoff? And all y'all in his comment section talking about he's so right, y'all bogus too. A whole community of clownery and charlatans coming all over each other like some sort of nasty internet commentary bukkake. This tends to happen a lot with big-name reviewers, so it's not unique to anyone I've mentioned here. What makes Geoff's case so particularly egregious is the anime is called shit because of infidelity to a story that anyone who's actually played the game knows pretty much doesn't exist. Let's move on from Jeff. Well, just one more thing. He never played the game and is literally talking out his entire ass because at the start of the game, one takes on the role of Arisen, of which there have been more than one throughout history. There are shades of a story as we move through the game, such as the mystery of the dragon cult, the circumstances of Duke Edmund, Grancis' ruler, the mysterious hermit on Hilfiger Knoll, but none of it is essential to the game, nor is it even really encouraged by the game to engage with these plotlines or any others. And it's actually more expected you'll be fighting off packs of ravenous monsters instead, because despite that being the Arisen and eventually facing the dragon is the overarching plot, it's all held together by the loosest of strings, or as Kate Bush would say, this is because the game is really about exploring the world, extrapolating your own stories from the framework given. And let's not pretend Capcom had Shakespeare writing this shit. The most royal intrigue we get from the relevant quests come from two side characters from unnamed not Spain and not France/Germany dueling. Please stop pretending you care about Mercedes. You're just simping. The game's character writing and storytelling are as basic gets, and that is really okay for the game. In fact, the anime actually has a better narrative, and anyone screeching otherwise just shouldn't be speaking on it. For one gigantic reason: the eternal cycle. Though only hinted at in the anime, for reasons we'll get into later, the Eternal Cycle is what propels the world of Grancis, on both a narrative and meta level. Narratively, the cycle is what literally perpetuates the world, from creator to dragons to Arisens, pawns, and the people. Explained as a never-ending tapestry, and as a series of rings infinitely circulating each other. On a meta level, our copy of the game and our playthroughs are all pieces of this tapestry, rings in the cycle, completed and circulated over by other people and other copies of the game. Only the pawns can travel through these other worlds, which is why our own personal pawn can be hired by other players, and vice versa. I've always really enjoyed this idea as a concept, Though similar to the multiverse model, I think that the Eternal Cycle works much better, especially in a game as exploration-heavy as Dragon's Dogma. With the cycle in mind, this is where my criticism of infidelity to the game, made by others, comes from. It is specifically stated that the parallel worlds which make up the cycle are infinite and vast, and altogether different from one another. And to those who say the story of the anime feels like a bad D&D campaign, just shut the fuck up. Your judgment of quality aside, the whole point of the game is to make your own adventure. And speaking of shutting the fuck up, so here we are at my last bone of contention when it comes to the fandom's reaction to the anime. I'm lying, I actually have several more. But anyway, when talking about Ethan, we have to bring up the Eternal Cycle again, specifically the concept of failed arisons. There are many in the lore, and even a couple brought up in the game itself. Ethan, our anime's protagonist, begins the series less jaded than one might think for a man who's lost his heart, his wife and child, and is now being beckoned by a sultry-voiced dragon. As the series progresses, both Ethan and the world become darker, as the previously sheltered man is exposed to the sins of the broader world. The episodes are literally named after the 7 deadly sins. But at first, one can see his inner kindness, though eventually this too fades into selfishness and wrath. Which brings us to... For as many successful arisen, there are failed ones as well. And Ethan is one of many failed arisons. This consequence is listed directly from the game, which states that arisons who fail in their quest are to become the next dragon. Although in-game, this takes place after failing to defeat the Seneschal, keep in mind that Ethan does not equal the arisen from the storyline of the game, which as we've covered, was not very great anyway. And as the dragon says, Ethan lost himself to his quest for vengeance. His consumption of the creature's heart is a visual representation of his own consumption by the desire for revenge, which is shown pretty clearly when he stops truly caring about saving others or helping them, something he was adamant to do in the beginning. Because Ethan failed in his quest, the dragon had no need to inform him of the higher powers at play, because Ethan was unworthy of even attempting to face the Seneschal. Just as the Duke's name's sin was that of cowardice, Ethan's was pride and wrath. He didn't want to defeat the dragon for the good of everyone. He wanted to defeat it because of the personal wrong it had done him. And this brings me to another point. A thing I think that not a lot of people notice, or maybe they do, and I'm just pointing out something that has been brought up before. I'm not going to say I was the first person to ever think of this, but the way that the Arisens and the dragons are set up, besides being literally kind of codependent on one another, well, not kind of, they literally sort of are, in like a mystical, esoteric way, but also in like a narrative sense. The Arisen, I think, represents like humanity and the various ways that we fuck up. And the dragon, while also representing the failure of humanity in a way, I guess you could say, or like the failure at least of an individual. The dragons, I think, also represent morals and lessons, and each dragon represents a different one. You can kind of make up what lesson you think the dragon in the game gives you, but if you follow the storyline, it's pretty clear that the moral lesson he represents is... You know what? It's actually not that clear, now that I'm thinking. But anyway, obviously, the dragon in the anime adaptation is not the same one. The dragon in the video game is named Grigori, and in the anime is not given a name. A lot of people assumed it was Grigori, though, because they got the same voice actor. But for real, like, how could you not just listen to this voice?
The rantings of an up-jump zealot make for tedious listening. His ilk serves no role in what is to come.
Anyway, so back to the dragons and the Arisens. I basically think that if you look at it, the dragons are portrayed in a semi-divine manner. Like, holy magic actually doesn't affect them. So I think that's kind of the dichotomy that the anime was pulling from. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit, I'll admit it. And granted, when I first watched the show, I was back and forth about it, but the more I think about it, the more I actually love it. Especially, I'm really sad that we're not going to get a season 2 because Ethan was just, well. Hey y'all, it's Editing Rogue here. Just wanted to say that I guess technically you could say that Grigori, the dragon from the game, represents like the lesson of like standing up for yourself, but it's kind of basic. I'm just guessing that because like the more I think about it, there's several lines where he's like, "Come to me, like face me. This is like do it." Like he's basically hyping you up. Like he's kind of like hyping the Arisen up in a way. But that might just be more like because it's a video game and not really a moral or a lesson. So yeah, I'm gonna stick by my original assertion that the lesson Grigori specifically represents isn't exactly clear. But yeah, okay, bye. Just wanted to point this out before I get a bunch of comments about about it. It's Editing Rogue again, guys, and like low key, the more I think about it, was there almost like a romantic vibe? Like, okay. Okay, wait. Like, hear me out. Because, like, when I say romantic, I mean it more in, like, I guess, like, the classical sense, you could say. But, like, low key, was there kind of, like, like, just an intimate. That's more what I mean. Not really romantic, but, like, the way that the Gregorian in the game would speak to the Arisen, it's almost like besides being like a hype man low key, he was also low key like it. Maybe it's just David Lodge's voice. I hope I don't sound creepy saying this. Maybe it's just his voice, but it's just some he would when he would be like, "Come to me, like I await thee." Like, oh, you do? Like, should I? Do I need to bring something when I come to you? I mean, my weapons, obviously. Obvious. Anyway, yeah, just a little funny. Making it a little funny here. Okay, I'm done. I promise. I'm done. So, anyway, I really enjoyed the story of the game. Actually, no, sorry, Freudian slip. I really enjoyed the story of the anime. I feel like it has, it's very basic, but again, like let's not act like the writing in Dragon's Dogma was fucking A tier level either, because it was not. It was very much not at all. So the fact that it's a little bit basic is fine with me because the characters who they brought in for the anime, like I really enjoyed them. Like, I mean, like stop pretending, please stop pretending you care about any of the characters, gigantic air quotes, any of the characters in that game, because the game itself doesn't even give a fuck. Like, you have to actively try and like you have to actively try and get who you want as your beloved, or because if you don't, like, the game will just literally pick anybody, literally any NPC at all who has a high affinity for you for whatever reason. I mean, come on, like, come on, stop, just just stop, because that's not good storytelling. Like, I'm not saying every NPC has to be amazing, but there could at least be like a few, and there are a couple that people remember, but like one of them is Eleanor, or I think that's her name. Yeah, Eleanor, the Duke's wife. And you only remember her because she's kind of shoehorned into the role, like, if you decide to progress the story forward. Like, the game kind of makes her the default option. But like, even if you like, what, like, we're supposed to like, I'm like, I really liked Valmiro, but I didn't even find out about him existing until I saw random fan art of him, and I was like, oh, let me go talk to this dude and make him my beloved. Okay. I mean, but like, for real, I had to be alerted to his existence by fan art, which whoever spotted him and did that, thanks, I guess. There's also Madeline, but again, let's not pretend like anybody cares about her beyond simping. I know y'all want the Burke Candy, Double D's, real titties. So, yes. And don't even come to me talking about Reynard or Julien or Mercedes, because as again I've said, the only reason anybody likes Mercedes is because simping, and the only reason anybody likes Julien, simping. Like, their countries that they're from are never even given a name. Neither is the country that Eleanor comes from. It's like this world is not fleshed out, and that's on purpose. That's on purpose. It's to give freedom. I think that if a game or the source material of something or whatever says in canon that there are multiple worlds that are parallel to each other and exist all at the same time and are just worlds apart from one another, you can do anything. As long as you stick to a few core basics, that's all you need. Because all you need for a Dragon's Dogma story is you need an Arisen, you need a pawn, their personal pawn, you need a dragon, you need the Seneschal, and that's if you want to go with a successful Arisen, which obviously the anime did not want to go with. They decided to go with the concept of a failed Arisen. And I think that's way more interesting. Like, there's so much more to explore there. And watching Ethan go from this normal man to a wannabe hero, and then watching his ideals get broken down through the collective assholery of everybody else around him. I mean, I'm not even surprised. Like, you can see an example of this when the village, I can't even remember what village it was, but like the village people, the people of the village, they turn on their ruler because of Ethan's influence and like basically mini French Revolution and everything. And he's standing there crying because he's ruined these people's lives and he has genuine remorse. But then by the end of it, like, he doesn't even give a fuck who the dragon's killing or where it is. He just wants to know where that motherfucker is because he's about to wreck it. And indeed, he wrecks the dragon. And like I said before, eats its heart. But it's not something to be celebrated, and you can tell by the tone and the animation and the voice acting, and just you people who want one-to-one adaptations of everything. You guys are the reason that creativity has been stifled for so long in just entertainment in general. I'm not saying that being faithful to a storyline is bad, because I too enjoy fidelity to storylines, but that's when there is storylines. That's when there is things to actually follow, of which you're telling me that if they followed the game storyline, it would have been more interesting. No, the game storyline, besides being suspended in GAFA, as Kate Bush said earlier, is basically nothing but like a bunch of like quick time events and cutscenes. And I mean, it'd be boring as fuck. It would be boring. Look it up. If anybody's ever made a cutscene like compilation of Dragon's Dogma on YouTube, look it up. I'm sure you will be bored out of your skull by 5 minutes in. And that's not to say there weren't like characters that were interesting, but like if you guys had not just immediately shit all over this anime, which actually took a thoughtful, God fucking forbid anything is thoughtful now or like nuanced. No, like it's either a 1-to-1 adaptation or it's fucking trash. And no, that's just not it. That's just not it. Now, I'm not out here defending anything like the Rings of Power. That was beyond mess. That was devastation. That was bad. That was everything bad. That any word you could use. That was of the devil. That was not it. But no, something like Dragon's Dogma, which doesn't have a story, or what story it does have is already basic as fuck anyway. So using like the just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Especially you, Geoff. You know what? Actually, I've got more in the tank. I was gonna end it right there, but I've got more. So there were interesting characters in the game. There was a couple. I mean, like, 1 or 2. Three, maybe, if I really stretch it. The Selena, she was cool. Or Celine, was it Celine? I think it was Celine, actually. Whatever her name was, the little witch girl. She was an interesting character. So was, I'm sure, so was the Arisen that she served. Spoilers, I guess. This game's been out for 1,000,000 years. I don't want to hear about it. The hermit at Hillfigure Knoll, he was interesting. I would have thought his backstory would be something, or even just his inclusion in the anime could have been cool. But along with his pawn. But I mean, if you guys hadn't immediately, like I said, immediately shit on this anime, it might have gotten to season 2, and we might have been able to see more of these characters from the games brought in. And like I said before, 1,000,000 times, there aren't that many characters that are interesting. You guys maybe would have even got your precious Julian and Mercedes and maybe Madeline. But like, no, nope. Just fuck it. Why? Fuck something having an alternate, not even an alternate take. It didn't. Like, people keep bringing up that it's supposed to feel like a D&D game. The whole, you can tell it's got shit pulled in from everywhere. There are literal armor sets that you can get in the game that are copies of Guts and Griffith's armors from Berserk. And we'll talk about Guts and Griffith one of these days, by the way. Y'all ain't ready for what I have to say about that. Not yet. But no, anyway. It's supposed to have that feeling, and I think that's part of the cool nature of just the like, I like that the world isn't fleshed out, and I don't usually say that about things, but it really does work for this premise. I mean, I have a character who is an Arisen, an OC of mine, and I don't care that his story doesn't follow the story. He's not from Casardis. He grew up quite differently. I don't care. Like, what? No, just no. Oh, and for all you people talking about, oh, the show had problems with violence against women, like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Look, go read a history book. Women are not exempt from violence, especially in times of great peril. Sorry. Like, and I know what the argument's going to be already. It's not that women were the victims of violence. It's that it was fetishized, or it was presented in such and such manner. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. You're projecting that onto it. You're putting that on the show. That's you. That's all you, boo-boo. That ain't the show. Because guess what? Violence was also done to men all throughout that motherfucking series. The first episode, a little, I guess not a little boy, but I mean a kid, definitely like a teenager, gets literally gobbled up by the dragon, and yeah, it just moves on after that. Like, the violence is done upon everybody in that show, everyone, because again, it's a time of great peril, and it's a time of uncertainty. And whenever you have world map, like, okay, like, are we just supposed to disregard all the men who died in all the world wars, or in, how about any war ever that's ever taken place, or and just what, focus on the women that lost their lives? Because no, what matters is that life is lost. But that's what matters, is the loss of life in general. It's not, or the fact that violence is being done to anybody. That's that is the message you should take from that. Is especially like that episode, the Village People episode that I mentioned. Like, look at that. Think just something small scale like that. I mean, I guess small scale in comparison to like the whole dragon stuff, but yeah, like something like that. Or does the what? That doesn't matter. No, like, just shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up. Oh, okay, it's editing Rogue one more time, guys. Just to talk about something real quick. So, like, I really like the class system in Dragon's Dogma, but also, like, it's got some of the best magic. Like, this is how magic should feel in a video game. It should feel grand and, like, amazing and awe-inspiring and just, like, almost mythic in terms of power. But, like, why it takes so long to cast the good spells, and that's just so frustrating. It's also like, I'm a pure mage when I play games like this. I tried in this game particularly. I've tried to do both, like, the magic archer, and I'm sort of in my current playthrough. I'm working on the. It's not called a Templar. It's basically a Templar. I'm getting Dragon's Dogma and Dragon Age. Ooh, we'll talk about Dragon Age one of these days too. But I'm getting them mixed up. I think it's called Mystic Knight. Yeah, Mystic Knight. I'm trying the Mystic Knight right now. And, but I mean, it's cool. It's cool, like, but, like, why? Why do the spells take so long to cast? And, like, I'm not one of those people that's, like, numbers focused when it comes to video games. Like, I'm not, like, out here, like, I need to get the most efficient leveling done, and I need to have this, like, shut your Ben Shapiro sounding asses up. Like, just play the goddamn game. I mean, if that's how you have fun, whatever, but, like, oh, God. I just couldn't imagine being like that. I mean, I am sometimes, but, like, nah. I'd rather have, like, the cool-looking shit than worry about, like, how much 0.5 more damage I'm gonna, like, as Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation would say, like, the numbers, bigger numbers, and then other numbers. Like, I don't care about that. But yeah, why the spells take so long? Like, there could have at least been, like, a ring or something that, like, maybe made it, like, take a little less long. Because, like, it's so frustrating, like, having my party, and then I'm over here trying to cast a spell, and then I finally managed to get it off because I keep getting knocked down for one reason or the other. And I finally managed to get it off, and, like, it doesn't, it just, one of my pawns already killed the, whatever we're fighting. But yeah, I mean, anyway, like, just a little aside. And why have we gotta lose the healing spells? Like, I know we can still have, like, we can still hire pawns that have healing spells, but, like, what if I want to do healing spells, but I also don't want to be a mage the entire playthrough? Like, I'd like to level up my class. Yeah, anyway, done with that, right? This is the last time I'm making an appearance, I swear.
Goddamn, I love paper like a Michael Scott. I can do things that your man cannot. Slab boy coming down, damn, I'm hot. Everybody say that I gotta be stopped. Even though my final form ain't none like. I'm so ahead of you, motherfuckers. How you comprehend what you ain't understanding?